Step into the world of fashion with Ashlee Janelle Discovers, a captivating fashion series that unravels how to get to the top in the fashion industry. Today's agenda, a visit to Elza Wandler, the founder and creative director of the luxury fashion brand Wandler. Elza's story is a perfect example of how preparation and opportunity can lead to incredible achievements. In this episode, I want to discover how Elza managed to reach new heights in her fashion business. Well, Elza, thank you for showing me around. This is amazing. Well, I've been here a few times, but I actually like, seeing like the behind the scenes. And one thing I'm just really thinking is it all started with an idea, right? But then you have to act to turn it into a reality. So what did you need to start Wandler and what did you do to get it done?
I think you don't really need anything except for an attitude that you truly believe that there's no failing. There was not even a thing in my mind where I could be like, this is not going to work. I didn't have any doubts about that. Because I think if you start like that, then that is where it becomes difficult.
Talking about the feeling, what was that feeling that you had when you're like, okay, I need to start my own fashion label? And did you know that it was going to be a success?
To be honest, I still do not feel like a success. So it's thank you for saying that, but it's still a journey, and I think that it will always be. I don't know. I guess it just doesn't make sense. Same if you want to be an artist or you want to be in music. There's so many music and there's so many arts. It's very much about being true to yourself. And if you feel like you have a voice and you want to you need to kind of, in whatever field you do, you want to do that, you should just do it without actually looking.
You actually do have a success story, because I actually read that you launched Wandler within 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And before you knew it, all the fashion retailers were interested in your product.
Yeah.
So what did you do? Because I know so many people that are actually waiting for an opportunity like this. So you must have done something to stand out.
I think sometimes you just have the right time, the right product, the right people. Sometimes the universe just gives you the place that everything just comes together. And I think that's partly luck, and that's partly belief, and that's partly hard work. It's all of these things together. And I think it's true. I did this in a very fast-paced, and I never expected all of these major stores to be interested in me. Completely not. So
was it? But did you have it on your mood board or secretly
No, nothing of all of that. No, I felt very strong about my designs. So I really worked hard on my designs, and I felt like this is different, and that is where my excitement starts. So it's not so much starting about I want to be this big business now and it needs to be in these major stores, but it's more about you start with something that you actually are very passionate about
and believe in.
And then I was showing it to these partners, which we for some reason were able to get an appointment with, and I hope that one of them would say oh my God, yes, we are going to do this. But then there were all three. They
said yes.
All three, they said yes, and they were kind of bidding against each other who could pre-launch with the brand. And the thing is, I guess that made really a difference for the brand. It's we launched with Net-a-Porter at the time, which is a huge thing. And we said okay, we need marketing budgets behind this launch, because then obviously at the time I think I had 1,000 Instagram followers, not even, So, but then when you launch with a huge partner like that, and then at the moment we had a stylist which was already known at the Italian Vogue. Her name is Giorgia Tal. We do a lot of styling with her. And also that was a little bit of a luck question, because I reached out on Instagram. I didn't have a bag yet. I had sketches. And I said, I'm doing this shoot at the Garda Lake. And I know she was living in that area because she's from Milan. And it's do you want to do a styling shoot with me? And she's like, yeah, sure. And afterwards, after we knew each other, I was like, why actually did you say yes? And she's like, I was bored. You know? But it is, really.
But that also shows, I love that. And that shows that sometimes, well, I think all the time, just don't be afraid to do it. Because I think you probably thought, oh, she's way too big to work
100%.
with me. But she said yes.
100%. And she said yes. And then she became a big supporter for the brand. She is like still, like she's one of my good friends now. But so actually, like the reason why I'm telling this is that we launched with Net-a-Porter, but then it was like Milan Fashion Week, and she walked with the bag, and she got photographed a lot. So all in a sudden, you know, like things were just rolling. And then I remember like just like 2 or 3 months after that, it was like Gay Pride or anything, and in New York, and Lady Gaga was on the tour. And she was wearing an orange little Hortensia bag.
How did she get the bag?
I have no idea. I have no idea. But people were standing because I was sleeping. It was actually Paris Fashion Week. So like the brand was like 2 or 3 months old. And I saw her on a van being like, you know, partying with the bag. And I was like, holy shit, you know. So, you know, things like that just happen. And we didn't do anything. Like literally there was no marketing program, there was no marketing idea. It was just also a sense of luck and the right moment. Well, wow. But this is the start, right? So after that it becomes difficult.
Exactly, because after that, when building a brand, you have to think about your aesthetic, your branding, storytelling, right? So what goes into building a brand? And we're talking then I mean like from product to actually building a team. Yeah, no, I think the steps afterwards were way more, or are actually way more challenging, because the beginning everything goes like intuitive and you are in this flow and you know like everything around it, if you're in luck, of course. But I think afterwards like you indeed you have to deal with finance, you have to deal with logistics. This is now the business
logistics
side.
Is like things go wrong, you know, like then after 2 years COVID happened, and you know, we had like, I remember during that time we have around 60 stores in Italy, and you know how Italy was the first country to actually shut down. So we were sitting with like 60 stores that said like, I'm sorry, we cannot, like the store is closed, we cannot accept the order at this point. So no, I guess like building a business and moving it forward, there is where you kind of like, I have to remind myself quite often on how like naive and intuitive I was in the beginning, and kind of like help me to get that back. You're the founder and the creative director of Wandler. So how do you find balance between the business, Wandler, and your personal life? I think not. I'm sorry. The story started so positive. No, but this is the truth as well, right? No. I think like I'm at a point now where I'm searching for that balance. I think we are now like we've been 5.5 years further, almost 6 even. And I think now is the time that you kind of feel like, oh yeah, okay, and you know, like what do I like outside of work? Because I do it together also with my partner, who's my husband. So it's like our conversation. Like whenever we have our day at work, and we do not really speak at work because we have our separate jobs. But then in the evening when we take the dogs for a walk, like we actually have like, you would say a meeting, you know, because you kind of talk about like all of the things, you know, like so you kind of always have an evening meeting, and then you still working actually. What is the most important thing that you've done that has brought you to this point? I think it's very much, and that does go back to the beginning, about having an attitude that is quickly recovering. So if you're gonna sit down with everything that is coming at you, better never start an own business. So every time when I think like this is a problem, it cannot get bigger than this, there will be something else that is bigger. So I think the lesson is, you cry for a day and you be like, fuck. I don't know if I can say that. But like, so you just deal with it. And then you put a smile on your face and then you move on, because you also have like a team that needs fresh energy, and you have like a factory that needs to feel that you are like in the right direction and that you trust. So it's very much about like having like a personality that can bounce with the waves.
Well, that actually brings me to my last question, because as you know, my fashion series is about me discovering how I get to the top of the fashion industry. So what advice would you give me?
I think you are doing like amazingly. So it's maybe like the way you would look at me, I look at you. So maybe,
which we had in the beginning, right? The conversation.
So I think the advice that maybe we women should give each other is to really like, you know, like tell each other a little bit more like on how like cool you think the other one is, and how what accomplishments you made, you know, because the funny thing is like how you think, oh my God, you are such a success. I'm like, you are such a success. So it's so I think you are doing great, and I think exactly this, what you are doing now, I think that is what is interesting to people. Like it's not so much about having like a nice image, or you know, I just do not feel like that's relevant anymore. Where like I was looking at street style 3 to 4 years ago, that was like I was scrolling, I was like, what is everybody wearing? And now I'm way more interested in like what that person has to tell, and also like indeed like what is your community, and you know like what are you building? And
much
I think
more in depth.
Very much more in depth, and I think you are doing that. So I would say, let's go.
I love that. Thank you so much. I have to listen to you. I'm actually almost at the top.
Exactly.
No, thank you so much, Elza.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. Thanks.